back here so I can keep an eye on the camera too. So. Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking time with me today to do this.
You what?
Thank you very much for taking time with me today.
I got a lot of time.
Okay, I'm going to start off with some simple questions first, then we'll get back into the war. But first I'd like to know, could you please state your name for me?
My name?
Yes.
Eugene W. Lee.
Okay.
You want? Eugene William Lee.
Okay. And when and where were you born?
Born in the town of Salina.
Okay. And what date?
What? March 24th, 1899.
Great. Okay. Before the war, did you have any schooling at all? Did you go to school or?
Did I have any what?
Schooling? Did you go to school? Or?
Yeah, I went to school 2 years in high school. And I finished 2 years in, what do you call it, in high school.
Okay. Before the war, did you do any work? Did you go right from school into the war?
Yes, I worked for the Syracuse Lighting Company. I went to work for them. I was 16 years old then.
Okay.
The first time.
Okay. Why did you go into the service? Was it because of the war, or?
Yeah, it was, I always, from a kid up, I always thought of the Marines. And the war was declared the 7th of April, and I became 18 in March, the 24th. So I was just old enough to get in.
Get in, right. And I know the answer to this question, but I want to hear on tape. What service, what branch did you go into?
What branch?
Like Army, Marines?
Oh, I just went in the Marines. That was my favorite, the
Right.
Marines.
Okay. Where did you do your training? What was it in New York or Pennsylvania?
We didn't do any training.
No. Okay.
They shipped us right over. We, let's see, it was down to the Philadelphia Navy Yards,
Okay.
and all they done was just a little practice, put us on the rifle range, and after that, we come back and they put us right on board ship.
Okay.
So we didn't have to go to we never trained in Paris Island.
How was your, do you remember the ride over on this ship? What was the feelings of like yourself and your other?
The what?
What was your feelings of your attitude going over on the ship? Were you guys nervous? Were you, excited?
Well, yeah, we 13 days going across, and I guess it was a new ship, the Henderson. They took the squad I was in. They put us down in there where we had to. They took turns on the big wheel steering it. They told us what to do.
Where were you stationed overseas when you first arrived on land? Where'd you go from there?
We landed in Saint Nazaire, and we was there. Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, I guess, and then they put us on a wagon and took us down to Siegendorf. I guess that was some little village, and they had us there for training there, showed us what the trenches were like and so on.
Now this is what, 1917 you went in? Was this? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
When did you go back? Because the war was going on for about 2 years when you entered. Britain was in the war. British was in the war for 2 years before you actually went over. So was the war already in progress, right?
Yeah. Well, we went over right away, and the way we spent our time was in this little town, Siegen.
No, Siegendorf is where you
I guess it was Siegendorf. That don't Mennecourt. That was the place we were at. Siegendorf was where we was in Germany.
Did you have camps over there, or did you stay? Did they have barracks, I guess, or did you stay in tents?
No, we didn't have. We never had barracks. We I guess we were staying in some of us in an old barn.
Okay.
Well, it was they were training there for the trench warfare.
Okay. Going back a few years, what was your reaction or America's reaction to the sinking of Lusitania that propelled Britain into the war?
Did I what?
The sinking of the ship Lusitania, when the Germans sunk that in 1915. You know what I'm talking about? The large ship that killed like 130 Americans, and that kind of had Wilson step forward possibly in projecting us into war. Was there any feelings, any anticipation that you guys might be going to war when that ship was sunk?
I don't know. I was always.
Okay.
I was always thought of the Marines when I was a kid,
Okay.
and when the
That's fine.
war was declared, I just told my mother I was going to enlist.
Okay. What were the feelings toward German Americans back then? I read somewhere that in America during the war, a lot of like German food was changed, like the sauerkraut was changed, the name of it, and certain German food was changed to like Liberty Burger instead of like hamburger. And what was the feelings toward German Americans back then?
At that time, well, we thing of it is we had a lot of Germans right in our own company.
What was it like fighting with them? Did they have? I mean, I'm sure their patriotism toward America was great, but did people in your own company look at them differently because they were Germans, or did they treat them like any other soldier?
I don't know.
Okay, that's
Understand
fine.
that question.
Okay. What were the conditions like? What was like the weather or the food you ate, stuff like that when you're over in France?
Over in France, well, we had so much corned beef. We had plenty of that and stew. And on holidays we had turkey. I can remember the one holiday that was after the war ended. We followed the Germans. We had to follow them all the way back into Germany. And we had our holiday in Luxembourg. It turned out on November.
Okay. How about your water? Was there plenty of drinking water, or how did you get water to all the men?
Well, we had water. They'd set up when we had our canteens, you know. But when we stopped any place they got water in a big tank, and they doctored the water up anyway. So we always had our canteen filled with water.
So did you have plenty of water, or was it rationed? Did you get so much water?
Oh, we never had to worry about water. We got water somewhere anyway.
Okay. Okay. How much contact did you have with your family back and forth? How often did you receive letters or send letters to your family?
Oh,
back
I
home?
got letters all the while. I never, after I left home, I never got back home again until it was all over. I never had any furlough or anything like that.
Okay. Now you fought in the trenches. What were the conditions like in the trenches?
There wasn't much to it. There was great big trenches there that they had walks. They had the boards down there, and all we done was we didn't do anything. They just stuck in there and up at Verdun, and they once in a while they'd hear there wasn't any real fighting. We had it in Verdun in the trenches. It was just to show us what it was like, I guess. And you had to be careful walking. They had planks down in there that you didn't get off one of the planks that were muddy down in there walking in there. They just once in a while the Germans might throw over a few shells, and that's what our army done. There was not much fighting in there while we was there. It was after we left the trenches, they took us back in a rest area for a while, and then we wasn't there very long. It was when they loaded us in trucks and moved us. We didn't know where we was going. When we found out after we got out, that's when they marched. They marched us. We had to march up, and while we was going ahead, we see these refugees coming back, walking back, and whatever they could carry. When they had dog carts pulling stuff and carrying it on the head. And there was one French soldier there that come along who was going back, and he says, "Beaucoup Boche." That's all he said. Well, that's when they marched us. Marched us up so far, and that's when Belleau Woods took place. They got us up there and spread us out in formation of squads.
How did you feel at Belleau Woods? Were you scared at Belleau Woods, or were you?
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's walking you through.
Okay, go ahead. Continue with your story about Belleau Woods.
Well, they spread us out in formations, and then we saw these wood was an open field in front of us, and up ahead was the woods. We didn't know what it was till we started across that, and the first in squads. The first squad would started ahead and firing, and there was firing all the while. they couldn't see us. They were just trying to make a screen for us. And we went in waves. And so about 4 waves. We'd walk, and the first wave went so far, and they was scattered and they couldn't see anything, but they was trying to form, just firing along the edge of the woods, in the woods there. And they laid down, and then the next wave come along and leaped over them, and that's the way we done. So long, and then the next wave, and they were shooting all the while. So we couldn't see anybody in the woods, but they had machine gun there and firing at us. And finally, we worked our way into the woods. And that's when the real fighting took place. We got, we didn't have any artillery fire for us because they was coming up and back of us, and the Germans was throwing over us. And of course they had to stop on account of their own men. We got in the woods, and then it was just man for man up there, fighting in there. And they finally drove them. We drove them right out of the woods, and they got way back on a, well, I don't know, when we got them out of the woods, we dug in foxholes there, and we had to wait. Well, that's what we drove them out, but we had to wait for our own artillery to come up to back us up too. I'm trying to.
Can you see the silver star and purple?
I wasn't, let's see.
Purple heart. Silver star and the purple heart. You can see the Belleau Woods.
Only asking that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lee, you received your Purple Heart and your Silver Star at Belleau Woods?
Yeah, I got grazed right along there, just enough to cut it open somewhere along there. And of course, they had at that time, then they got back and they put us in a truck, and let's see, how do I explain it? We got back out of there and they put us in a truck, and they moved us anyway. The fellows that were hit, some of them was hit bad, and I was just lucky. It just grazed me along, just to cut it open along there somewhere. And they took us to Paris. I was in where some of the wounded were. It was there overnight in tents in Paris. That night, you could hear Zeppelins come over, and of course it was all kind of gunfire, the French firing at them. They moved us down to Bordeaux, afterwards there. That's where the big hospital down there, Americans Hospital.
Go back to why he got the Silver Star. How do you understand?
How did you get the Silver Star?
I don't know. I don't know why they give me the Silver Star.
Help the corpsman pull it.
Did you help pull the Marines?
Huh?
Did you help pull some of your?
Oh God, yes, it helped. That was at Belleau Woods there helping. They had a Navy Medicaid there from the Navy. He asked me to help carry some of the wounded back, get them back away from the line and then go back again, keep carrying wounded out. Of course there was shells coming over all the while, landing around there. Let's see how.
Go back to the go back to the hospital and then.
I don't know why they give me the Silver Star. They had to give it to somebody.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Trouble. You ever get in trouble?
Did you ever get in trouble while over there?
In trouble?
Yeah, like with your buddies, things you shouldn't have done when you're over there.
Well, the only trouble I got in was after they was going to send us back to our company from the hospital. There's a kid I got acquainted with down there, and we got on a train. We were supposed to get on the train, and we didn't. He got in the crap game. I don't know how much he won, about 600 or 700 francs. And he was a Marine out of the 6th Regiment. I got acquainted with him in the hospital. He says, what do you say we go out and have a good time when they... I told him I didn't have any money. He says, I got some. So to get on the train, when they get on, there was a camp there, a lot of Frenchmen in a camp right near there. When they got on the train, we got over in where the French were, and we didn't get on the train. So we mixed in with them Frenchmen over there till the train pulled out. Then afterwards, we went around Paris there having a good time, and we run out of money, and we both had back pay coming, and we found the Marine headquarters there in Paris there, and we went up and asked them that we'd run out of money, and they give us 250 francs each of us that we had on the books anyway. Well,
what'd you do with the money that you got? The 250
well, we
francs.
went around having a good time in Paris, everything. Went up the big tower, Eiffel Tower, going around. When we went back, we went to the Marine headquarters there, and we stopped in there, and I asked them, the luck would have it, there was a lieutenant in there that, and this other fellow was from the 6th Regiment, and he knew him. And he gave us 250 francs apiece. And when that run out, we got on a train. We didn't know where it was going, just to get out of there. And it stopped someplace. We going along, and it stopped. And we wanted to get out to buy something there. And they had the MPs along there and come along and stopped us. They wanted for our pass, and we didn't have any. So they arrested us, put us in the brig there. But we was only in there a couple of days, and they took me with one fellow. He was in the 6th Regiment to send him. Well, I had to send me back. They sent one, an escort MP back with me. And let's see, we had to get on a train to go back, and we had to stop overnight somewhere. And I woke him up. I told him I wanted to go at the head. He said, "Well, go ahead." He didn't go with me. He knew I wasn't going to go anywhere. So I come back, and they took me back to my company. They were just getting ready for the drive, for the Meuse Argonne drive. And they took me back and to the sergeant major there, and he said, well, he told him, well, put him in the brig. And they said, we haven't got any brig. So they put a corporal there. How do they call it again? This corporal was
Corporal of the Guard.
Corporal of the Guard?
Well, they had to take me back under one of these one of the MPs. They got me back to headquarters where as I say, they was getting ready for that big drive, and they said to put him in the brig, and they said they didn't have any brig, but they had got a lot of new men in the company. A lot of new ones that had never been up at the front. And what did they do? They put me in charge of a squad, and I was still under arrest. And they put me in charge of a squad. And while I was a state, I had that as long as let's see. Well, it was the last drive. How the dickens was it? Well, as I say, they got a lot of new men in the company while I was there and gave me in charge of them there. Well, that was nothing anyway. Just
So then they went up to the Meuse River, and that's when the
I'm trying to I'm mixed up on it some way. He got us up.
You did well.
Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It seems to me I'm missing something. But anyway, I know that we was up there. How the devil was it? Oh, it was that was the Meuse Argonne drive. That's when the war ended, but they got us up. Let's see it. I'm mixed up on it some way.
So you ended up.
Like I can remember. It was right up near the front there. Was
So you ended up at the river.
So you ended up.
I'm trying to figure out how we got there.
So you ended up at the Meuse River, and that's when they did the peace signing.
Yeah, it was. I forget, there was a couple of other drives they made going up till we got up. The night, I'm thinking of the night of the 10th. I forgot how I got there. We was waiting for night, I know that. We were sitting back there.
So where?
Well, we was up
November 10th.
to the Meuse River, and that's when the war was ending. The last night. Gosh, I forget, there was a couple of other drives that they had to get up there, but I'm thinking of the November the 10th. And at night, we had to march down to the river. They had pontoons across the river, and we crossed the river. This I'm talking, it's going to be the last night of the war, and we crossed that, and they spread us out along the river bank, spread us out. Once in a while, the Germans would throw over a big shell or so, and one of them landed in the river out there, and the best buddy I had there, he got killed that night. It was one of them shells landing in the river. In the morning, was all scattered out along, as they say there. And come morning, it was a nice sunny day and a big open field all the way up in front of us. But nobody was firing. We didn't fire our rifles once after we got across there. And it come around 11 o'clock, and they give the word, cease fire all the way. And just a minute or two after 11, we looked up there, and you see it was a German officer come out with a white flag with an aide with him. They started walking down. And there, we had a lieutenant along there. He walked out a ways up there to meet him. And by that time, when they'd been talking there, the German soldiers come rushing down that hill there, and all of our fellows got up out of up there, and gosh, we got mixed mixed up with them there, some of them could speak English, just like some of our fellows could speak German. And if they couldn't, we got along trading souvenirs with them and giving them smokes there. That's the way we celebrated the Armistice Day with us.
How long after that day before you went home? How many days or months after the signing did you
After I got home?
Yeah.
Oh,
until you got home.
About 9 months.
About 9 months.
After that,
He took that group
the next day well, that night we had campfires anyway, and the next day they lined us up and said, they give us the honor of following the German army back into Germany. We had to follow up and back of them every day. And during that day, it come Thanksgiving Day, and we was in Luxembourg. That's where we had a turkey dinner too.
Understood it.
And I was got in Germany there. I was there 9 months. And
now, that was with a German family? You had the turkey?
No. We had our own. I was in Luxembourg. We had the turkey.
Okay.
We was following the Germans back. And they took us back and they spread us out in this little town, Siegendorf. They took the men and put so many men in the house, and the Germans there. The way the house I was in, they put me in one room we had, and the top sergeant had another big room in the house I was in. I didn't see him. Well, I saw him every day, but not in the house there. And of course, the German, when that happened, the first time the Germans, they was kind of shy of us. They didn't know what was going on. And gosh, there was no time. Everybody, we have to go out. We'd have to have our guns with us all the while. Then afterwards, we got to know them. We never had to carry any guns anymore when we went out.
Except for one time we went deer.
And we could.
Now, how about the time you went deer hunting?
Pardon?
How about the time that you went deer hunting?
Oh, well, the house I stayed in was right up at the end of this little village. And up and back of it there was woods. Gosh, I walked up. I used to go up there pretty much every day, walk up in there and see deer. And we was allowed to shoot wild boar or anything, but we wasn't allowed to shoot deer. But this time I took my rifle with me and I walked up in the woods there, probably a mile up in there. And gosh, all of a sudden I spotted, there was 3 deer there. And I picked out one there and shot, and I knocked him flat, right? The first shot knocked him dead. So I went up and see that it was all right. And I got out of there, then I threw some branches over the deer. I went back down to the camp there, and I got a fellow told him what I had. He went with me, and we got the deer and brought it back down. It was easy to because where I didn't have to go through the village. I'd come right down through the wood into this house, and was back there. And the old man that was in the house there, we pulled the door down, he took it and took it down cellar. And that, let's see, that night or the next night, the German woman cooked up some steaks for this fellow and I. And we, of course, it was hard for them to get any rations like that at that time. And we had this steak dinner. That was all. We wouldn't go anymore. We wanted to give it to them people, let them have the meat. Let's see, how...
About the parades.
And,
What did I say?
come on, now,
After we got acquainted with the German people there, we got so we didn't even have to carry any guns anymore. And we had, in fact, we didn't even drill with that was the easiest time I had while I was in the service. We had the playground, played baseball, and could
how about parade?
get on there was a little, there's a trolley there that run over to Newweed on the Rhine River. We could, mine been about 5 miles over, 5 or 6 miles over. We could ride on the trolley. Gosh, I could go over there every day if we wanted to, and I'd go over and they had a nice place like a YMCA with a dandy swimming pool in there. Go over there, and there's always a bunch going over, fellas. What we had to do was answer roll call in the morning.
Were there any parades when you got back home for you? Any celebration?
No. Were you in any parade?
No.
Parade through Europe.
I was stationed over there 9 months. When I got home,
It's going to be like parades in Europe.
Were there any parades in Europe?
any parties,
Parades.
Marines?
Parades, like celebration.
No, we let's see,
Were you in a parade in Europe?
yes, and I'm trying to remember how the devil he got in them. We paraded in
They were victory.
The victory parade.
paraded in Paris, in London, in New York, and Philadelphia, I think it was. We paraded afterwards, after we got, I don't know how.
It pretty much wraps it up.
Okay,
I mean, as far as,
like 2 or 3 more questions?
no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As far as the war, now he's back, right?
Okay.
So, and his mother...
God.
Somewhere his uncles near New York City, his mother came and met him.
When he came on the ship.
He landed in
Return.
Philadelphia.
When you returned,
Huh?
when you returned from the war, did your mother come and meet you?
Yeah, it was, down on Long Island is where we was stationed. I forget the name of the place. And they gave me a pass there, and my uncle lived in New Rochelle. And I got a pass to go up there to New Rochelle and see him. And I told him when I was going to get out, when we was going to get discharged, and what'd he do? He called my mother up, and when I was discharged, I come back. I told him I was going to stop there again, and I come back, and my mother was was there to meet me. But
And then you came home after that?
huh?
And then you came home after that?
Well, I met her, but I had to go back to get the discharge. And of course, then after I told my uncle I was come back, and we got the train and went to Syracuse, and that was the first time I got home. From the time I enlisted.
Ask about the church bells ringing.
How about the church bells ringing? Can you tell me about the church bells?
Yeah, I guess they did. They had even Liverpool was small, you know, and they they rang the fire bell. Jeez, Christ, what a time!
Veterans Day is celebrated November 11th, the anniversary.
What?
Veterans Day is celebrated every year on November 11th because of the peace signing in WW1. What does Veterans Day mean to you? Is it more special or?
Veterans Day?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I always think of November the 11th. I always think of the way we celebrated it. Like people, they had dances and everything. And we celebrated with the German soldiers amongst our... It was over with, gosh, they wanted to get over it just as well as we did.
What makes you proud to be an American? What is special about America to you?
America?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes you think that after all these other countries, we are a free country. But all the restrictions they're putting on the people today, I don't know whether it's free or not. God, they restrict you for everything.
So what differences do you see, like in this country today, and compared to when you were growing up, the restrictions and stuff, or like what is different today than back when you were like my age?
Well, yeah. We are a free people, and we. But boy, every time you turn around, now there's restricted for something. Some new laws. They can't make enough laws now to... But it's still the best country, though.
A personal question for me. My daughter is 2 years old. She was born 100 years after you were born. What kind of advice could you give somebody of her age, like for life? Like what would you say to her 100 years since she was born? What would you like to say to her if you could tell her something to like about life or about living life?
Yes, I don't know. Let's be.
Do you understand me? My daughter is 100 years younger than you. And in all your years of experiences, what simple advice or what kind of advice could you give her about living, I guess?
Oh, gee, that'd be hard.
But,
One of the things he told her kids
Just,
stay in school, don't quit school.
I don't know what you could tell her to do as her father and mother does. If they will give her the best advice. That's hard.
any questions I should ask it? No.
Remember we talked about something along with how do we continue
Gee,
our younger generation and generations to come aware of the sacrifices they made?
it's,
How would, if you had a wish, how would you do it?
If you had a wish of how we could make our younger generation more knowledgeable or more respectful of the past, of each war, how would you do it? How would you make each new generation ahead of us remember for us?
what to do?
What to do or how to
remember
or how to remember those who made the country free from World War I and from WW2 and on. What would your wish be for the new generations to remember men like you and women like also who have made this country free and what it is today?
Gosh,
You know,
that's a hard question to answer.
Okay.
that's all right. Keep working on it.
Oh, one of the best things is to keep off coke.
I don't think he doesn't understand the question. I'm sure.
To,
Yeah, sure. What if you had one wish? How do we make today's young people remember war veterans, remember what was sacrificed in the wars? How do we make the young generation remember that?
gee, that's a hard question to ask.
Okay.
All right, keep working on it. Yeah. What would you do?
What would you do to try to make people remember?
To make them remember?
Remember the sacrifices that our veterans have gone through.
Well, Memorial Day is one of the good days. It's tough to try to tell them what to do.
All right.
Tell them to lay off the coke for one thing, but just tell them to follow their mother and father do what they say.
Is there anything else you want to add about your experiences or about America? Is there anything else that you want to share?
Oh gosh, there's lots of things that you could think of, but I follow the law is the best thing. And lay off that coke. God, that's one thing that's ruining us youngsters.
Well, I thank you so much. It has been one of the deepest honors for me to interview you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you the best I can.
It was wonderful. It's a
Yeah.
very, very deep honor for me to do this interview. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Right, there's your dog tags. There's your dog tags. And that's the Legion of Honor.
That's the French.
That's the French Four Reserve.
That's a good one right there.
That's a good one. That's a tough one. Then you got the Purple Heart, the Good Cat. I don't know how you got the Good Cat medal when you got locked up. How did you get there when you got locked up? My foot. How many francs did it cost you?
They like me.
They loved you. That's the World War I medal that is bracketed with the star of the campaign.
Must be for engagement.
They are, for each campaign.
Yeah.
And that's the German Occupation Medal.
Yeah.
He was a PFC. That ended up as a PFC in the Marine Corps. That was his rank.
I don't know
PFC.
what it was for.
Private First Class.
I guess some of them were for being wounded.
Right. That was a.
Yeah, I met two guys down there from the Navy. They was there when I went out with them.
No fights.
No.
No crap games.
They give us the first week we was there. They let us out. That's the picture I had taken.
That's great.
That's good.
Boot camp
I'm sorry.
uniform.
He said it.
No crap games when he went on Liberty.
No. These we were all over. That's when I went up the old tower. No, I'm not that. I didn't then.
You were in
When
Philadelphia.
I was down in Paris there for 9. That's
Did you get a good shot of his medals?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do a little.
of a good Marine uniform.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Right out of the boot camp.
This is the same one.
That's a
It's the
great
one we
picture.
used for the,
Yeah.
Yeah, the head you did, yeah. That's a great
those are
picture.
the only two that I know of. And I didn't know that one until I crawled up in the garage.
Could you hit that light for me, please? That'd be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be more light than that, actually.
What do you want?
Actually, go ahead, hit that back on. I'll tilt the picture now. Hit it all the way. There you go. I was just getting reflection. There it goes. It's better. I was getting a reflection from the bulbs in the glass.
Let me get something there.
Well, I mean, I tilted the glass.
Regiment, 5th Regiment, 4th
That
Marine Brigade. Yep.
is the best picture I had.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I can remember that guy. He was a good guy.
General Krulak.
Yeah.